Hello and what is up, guys? My name is Maggie, you are watching Troll Bros. And welcome to some of the best miscellaneous mods available for Fallout 4. In this countdown, we are going to be taking a look at 5 of the greatest miscellaneous Fallout mods I was able to find on the Fallout 4 Nexus. Now, each and every single one of these mods have already been reviewed by me in the past. However, most of those videos have gone unnoticed. So odds are, even if you do keep track of the channel, you might not have stumbled upon at least half of these videos. At number 1, we have the Rename Anything mod by the Registrator 2K. Are you tired of the vanilla names for items? Do you have a wacky imagination and just want to rename everything and anything? Are you literate? Well, in that case, this might just be the mod for you. Now, I've seen many interesting mods in my Fallout 4 mod showcasing career, but this one possibly takes the cake. Is it the greatest mod ever? It could be. Does it cure cancer? Sure. Is it child-friendly? You bet your asshole. Can my dog safely digest it? Sure, why not? So the Rename Anything mod. As you may have already deduced from the mod name itself, this mod essentially allows you to rename any and every single item in your inventory simply within your Pip-Boy. You no longer have to go to various armor crafting workbenches to rename items, as well as you are no longer limited to only renaming armor and weaponry. Rename items to sort them with ease. Do you really need to take a bottle of Red X when you can just take a bottle of Go Fuck Yourself? Not sure what a specific item does? Simply rename it to what you think it does, because that's sure to solve some problems. Do you really want to be walking around the Commonwealth hitting people with a heated indigo rocket bat? Or whatever the fuck that is. I mean, when you can do the same thing with a much cooler name. And does that not basically just improve the item tenfold? Possibly. Note that if you rename any item that is in a stack of multiple items, it will appear as if you did not rename the item. What actually happens is, the stack will split into 2 separate parts, one being the original stack with one item missing, and the other one being a separate item with the same function but a different name. Honestly, for a mod as simple as this, it truly does add layers on top of layers of immersion into your game. At number 2, we have the Player Comments mod by Gargorius. Is the Wasteland just a bit too quiet for your tastes? Well, in that case, this might just be the mod for you, because for the most part, it does fix that issue quite well. The Player Comments mod essentially allows your player to comment on certain things he finds in the Wasteland, much like a companion would. That means when he runs into a certain trigger, for example an NPC, an action, possibly even an item, he will actually say certain things regarding the trigger itself. This also means that when he runs to very specific NPCs, he will actually give out a scripted response.
I don't want whatever you're selling.
Which for the most part do work quite well. Now, some of these observations and or comments are pretty fitting.
Oh god. Oh god!
They describe what's going on relatively accurately. That being said, some of these comments are really fucking weird and misplaced horribly, making this mod quite amusing. For example, the player will vigorously comment shooting a dead raider's dick.
Hell yeah. Oh god.
But at the same time will not say a single word about this shit. Well, truth be told, not even I know how to comment on this.
Show me what you got!
Because you know what? When I see a rotting, shambling corpse making its way to me, the first thought that pops into mind is, sure, let's fucking talk to it, why not?
You look like something that was left in the fridge too long.
Well mate, you look like a cancerous cock-headed fuckbag that got hit in the face with autism.
At some points it gets pretty ridiculous. I mean, he's going to vigorously comment on Takahashi, but is not even going to mention the vibrating fucking Nuka-Cola bottle right next to him.
Hey, robot.
Look at this shit. Yeah. That's what I'm all about. Fuck outta here. Let people know exactly how important you are simply by walking up to them.
I've got places to be.
Put people's minds at ease by telling them you're not going to do anything.
Don't worry. I'm not gonna try it.
Before they even make eye contact. Making the situation completely friendly. And sometimes the player is gonna have some pretty fucking weird opinions about shit. For example, can I care?
I got my own problems.
And shooting an innocent child in the face.
I think it's radiation.
Someone help me!
Next up, at number 3, we have the CrossCourser Recall Caller by Nero. Do you enjoy bulky necklaces, flashy effects, and suicide? Well, if so, you came to the right place, because this video features all three. The CrossCourser Recall Collar mod essentially adds in a brand new piece of armor with a somewhat unique yet familiar brand new function. Now, as coursers can teleport to and from the Institute at will, Nero has actually taken it one step further and given you the ability to not only teleport through space, but also time. Now I know what you may be thinking. How is this even possible? Is this shit even legal? My god, man, what the fuck happened to your face? Pay no mind to that, I'm just going through puberty. Now, when I say this little trinket allows you to time travel, it's not as badass as it sounds. It essentially gives you an ability very similar to the one that Tracer from Overwatch uses or Weaver from Dota 2, meaning you can kinda revert time, but only on yourself, and even that for a very limited amount of time. Now, to obtain this giant ass fucking battery powered collar, you will simply be required to walk over to your camp station and craft it under the utility category. It actually comes in two types, each one taking up a different armor slot, making it compatible with basically any old outfit you may be using. Considering you have the right amount of materials, as well as the required perks, you can now craft yourself a brand new bulky ass cross time traveling collar, with the help of which you could fuck up multiple timelines at will, much like the popular DC character The Flash, aka Chuck Berry. Now, when you put on your brand new recall collar, you will notice that you will also be given a brand new trigger item. This item essentially serves as a switch, giving you the ability to access your brand new powers at will. You do this by selecting this item and putting it in your favorite category, meaning you can activate it at the push of a button. And as soon as you do try to activate it, you will probably run into a problem, much like in my case, because I do not have sufficient ammunition. That is right, this is not one of those bullshit god mode items, because it actually requires either stamina or fusion cells to actually function. Now, if you do not like the cooldown, or the amount of time it takes you back, or even the ammunition cost, you can simply take it to the Armor Smith workbench, or you could modify it slightly. For example, you could change the ratio of fusion cells to stamina it drains, meaning you can make it drain 75% of your stamina, but barely any energy cells, or vice versa. As well as you can even change the cooldown and even add a few nifty little gadgets, including but not limited to an impact dampener, which essentially gives you extra armor, a reactive activator, making it so if your health drops below a certain number, it will automatically teleport you back in time, or even a fucking wall of text, if you can read. Now, this little collar does not only look amazing with its custom textures and meshes, but is also quite useful. Have you ever started a fight you could not finish because the enemy had an outstandingly well-made weapon, such as a fucking pool stick? Well, with the help of this mod, you can simply erase those mistakes by going back in time. Although that might not always work out as planned.
Think you can win this? Huh?
Or hell, if you're ever contemplating suicide but change your mind at the last minute, you can simply rewind and do it all over again, just to get it right.
Suicide is badass!
Or hell, why not just rush into a crowded room and drop a motherfucking nuclear bomb? And then just kinda swish out of there like it was nobody's business. And as always, keep in mind that
Suicide is badass!
Nearing the end here, at number 4, we have yet another cross mod, and this time the CrossCourser Overhaul once again by Nero. Do you enjoy cool animations, spooky skeletons, and bad puns? Well, in that case, you clicked on the wrong video, because there is nothing even remotely similar going on here. Yeah. The CrossCourser Overhaul mod is the latest mod in the cross-modded series by Nero, and adds in a quite unique, quite interesting effect. Much like the name implies, it essentially overhauls the gore system in Fallout 4. Not completely, but does kind of improve some aspects of it. Much like the mod maker pointed out, Fallout games have always been a bit goofy and have always had over-the-top gore in them, and Fallout 4 is no exception. That being said, the gore featured in it is kind of weak, at least in my opinion. And that is why, in my opinion, this is by far one of the better cross mods. While it might not be exactly superfluously implemented, the idea behind it is incredibly cool. Now, some people might say that video games make us violent. What with all the killing and pillaging and rape and whatnot. But you know what? Why stop at killing someone? Why not just burn their fucking corpse, exposing their flesh and bones? Yeah, how do you like that? Video games don't make us violent. Poorly formed puns and shit tons of cocaine make us violent. Now, the CrossCourser Overhaul mod essentially adds in a new mechanic or somewhat redoes an already existing mechanic in vanilla Fallout 4. If you have ever played around with a laser rifle or even a plasma rifle, you might have noticed that you can vaporize or gooify enemies upon a critical hit. Well, that is the function that this mod kind of revamps, making it a little less child-friendly and a whole lot more gruesome. With the help of this mod, whenever you land a critical hit with a laser rifle, a plasma rifle, or even a flamethrower, you will not turn that enemy into a pile of fucking goo and/or dust, but you will actually fry the ever-loving flesh and skin off of their fucking corpse, leaving it, well, a charred goddamn skeleton. Now, I must warn you that this mod is not for the weak of heart, since the skeletons exposed when landing a critical hit on someone are quite, well, this mod affects any and all humanoid creatures in Fallout 4, be that humans, such as raiders, gunners, bystanders, or even Jerry, the local nudist, who is now a fucking corpse. As well as other humanoid-like creatures, such as super mutants and even Deathclaws, which in my opinion was a very cool, very interesting detail. And if you want to configure this mod even further, the mod maker even gives you a holotape, which helps you better understand what this mod does, as well as it gives you the option to fiddle around with the settings just a little bit. Now, the mod maker even went so in depth with this mod that he actually assigned various burn rates for various weapons. For example, the plasma rifle will disintegrate an enemy at the fastest rate. Right behind it is the laser weaponry, and last but not least, we have the flamethrower, which you can actually visually see burn up your fucking enemies. Now, while the animation might not be the best right now, it is by far one of the coolest fucking concepts I have ever seen in a Fallout 4 mod. And if you yourself just went on a murderous killing spree, but forgot to equip a laser, plasma or flame-like weapon, don't worry, you can just take the corpses of the dead and burn them up, as if you're some kind of SS Auschwitz cleanup crew. Now, I highly recommend doing so, since you will get a first-person view of how the animation actually looks like, although it might bring on some World War II flashbacks. But even so, I mean, it looks just so fucking cool. Oh yeah, I can almost smell it. Oh yeah, love me the smell of some burning nudist corpse in the morning. Smells just like Grandpa's house. Wait, am I still recording? And last but not least, we have the infamous VPad mod by the Pimp Crew. Notice anything new about me? Maybe something's just a little bit different? Almost like something's missing. Could it be my Pip-Boy? No, I'm just fucking naked. But if you pay close attention to the lack of a very specific item of clothing, you might just realize I don't have a Pip-Boy. Where the hell is it? How is this even possible? Is that shit even legal? The VPad mod essentially completely replaces your Pip-Boy with a brand new item, the VPad, putting all Pip-Boy retexture mods to shame, because this mod does not only retexture it, but also completely redoes the meshes in quite a spectacular manner. Now personally, I quite do enjoy the look of the vanilla Pip-Boy. It has that kind of 1920s, 1960s computer feel to it, because computers were kinda big back then, so it's somewhat unrealistic to think they could fit the entire computer of that time into a fucking pad. That being said, you never know what the Institute is working on, you don't know if the Enclave might have something to do with this, so if you're going with an Institute, maybe even a Brotherhood of Steel character playthrough, then I strongly recommend using this mod, because it might just help a little bit with your immersion. Now, the way this mod is set up, it essentially just replaces the Pip-Boy without actually replacing any of the animations. And this honestly seems like a pretty tall order to fill. I mean, completely redoing the meshes without changing the animations and making them still look human is kinda difficult, and honestly the mod maker did a pretty good job at it. For the most part, you can barely notice that this is a mod. It kinda looks like something that may actually be in-game. But all of the functions of the vanilla Pip-Boy have been retained, meaning when you click E, this will open up instead of your Pip-Boy. You can swing it around, get a good old look at all the edges, buttons, knobs and such. And for the most part, all these knobs work when you switch between tabs, when you switch between radio channels. The only thing that does not entirely work is when you switch between items in your inventory. Now, as I said, for the most part this mod is pretty spectacularly made, but it does have a few hiccups here and there. For example, a little thing I noticed, when you swing your Pip-Pad around while having your inventory open, if you have your mouse at the top middle of the screen, it might kind of freak out, just a little bit. As well as if you load up a new game with this mod installed, you might run into some problems. For example, in the prologue, when you're still exiting Vault 111, the Pip-Pad might actually appear on your wrist, even though it does not actually appear on your wrist later game. That being said, I do kinda like the way it looks on your wrist, but that would kinda defeat the purpose, since a hand-mounted Pip-Pad is essentially a Pip-Boy. And when you are just ready to leave Vault 111, instead of finding the Pip-Boy on an amputated skeletal hand, you will actually find it on the floor, right next to a skeleton with no hand, for no apparent reason. Now you might also notice that even though it is clearly a pad, it still says it's called a Pip-Boy, which might cause problems for some of you, but in my case it does not, because I can't actually read. I just guessed it. Now when you put on the Pip-Pad, it does not make a lot of sense since the animations are kinda based on a hand-mounted thing, so just having a pad does not exactly work. That being said, it is barely noticeable. I mean, that looks normal. Kinda. Why settle for boy when you can have a pad? I mean, honestly, if Apple came out with a new product called the iBoy, would anyone buy that? You know what, don't answer that. If for some odd reason you actually enjoyed watching this video and would like to watch more, then subscribe to the channel. As always, my name is Magi, you've been watching Trollin' Bros. Until next time guys, I'll see ya!